All right, let's continue to unpack this story now. Joining us is the coordinator at the South African People's Tribunal on AgroToxins, Haidee Swanby. It's a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for coming on. And it's a story that's been in our headlines for months now, right? This issue of children falling victim to what is always reported as snacks from spaza shops that are somehow compromised. What is your reading of this situation?
Well, I think the big problem is that the solution is trying to deal with the end user instead of turning the tap off at the source. And that is that these highly hazardous pesticides should be banned. We have a 2010 pesticide management policy, which already laid the foundations to ban these pesticides. And they shouldn't be on our shelves. They shouldn't be available. If we just take them out of the equation altogether, we'll make some progress.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as I understand, they are not available. These are pesticides that are bought sort of on the black market.
Yes,
residents are obviously struggling with a whole range of issues in particular communities, whether it's rats or trying to get those kinds of pests under control, but they're getting these pesticides essentially illegally.
Exactly. People are struggling with service delivery issues, and they have a real problem to deal with. And they're getting these pesticides that are supposed only to be used for agricultural purposes. Somehow there's a big regulatory failure going on in the country, and these pesticides are making it into domestic settings. But also for us, we work with farm workers a lot, and so these pesticides are not only affecting us in domestic settings, but farm workers are exposed to these and thousands of other highly hazardous pesticides in the course of their daily work.
So are you recommending, or are you suggesting like a blanket ban on the use of this particular kind of pesticide?
Well, the World Health Organization has got a categorization system, and they have a category which they call highly hazardous pesticides, which meets certain criteria. And since at least 2010, they've said that these are too risky to be in society and they need to be phased out. And our government should have been doing that for the past 15 years, but there's been very little action.
And why is that?
One of the reasons is that the chemical sector is very, very powerful, and this is obviously a huge amount of revenue for them. Minister Steenhuisen says that it will affect food security if we take pesticides if we stop poisoning our food while we're growing it. That's going to cause a food security issue. And the whole agricultural production system is designed to be used with chemicals. So it's transforming out of that takes a lot of political will, right, which just isn't there.
But I imagine that other countries have done so. They've gotten rid of organic phosphates.
Yeah, well, turbifos is banned in all of the South African development community. It's banned in Europe. So it just takes some political will and some willingness to push it back against the chemical industry, to start looking for alternatives, and also this idea that food security will be affected is this false argument, because food security is about food access. People don't have money to buy. We produce enough, but food security is about people's buying power. So it's a false argument.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from what you're saying, it feels like the focus has been wrong, just in the number of children that have fallen victim to poisonous snacks. That's, some of the headlines that we've seen with these various cases over the past few weeks. So do you get the sense, and I wonder whether you have a perspective on this, that the focus should be on more regulation for spaza shops, or really is the issue that we need to get rid of turbifos?
Yeah, I mean, look, no one should go to a shop and feel afraid for their life if they're buying something. So I mean, they just in the normal course of the day, spaza shops do need to be safe.
Yeah.
But this whole idea of re-registering and really clamping down and blaming the spaza shops, fanning a lot of xenophobia.
Yeah.
I think it's just been a strategy to deflect from the fact that the chemical industry and our government is responsible for a lapse in regulation of these very hazardous chemicals that actually saturate all of our lives. I mean, there's even an organophosphate on the market, in a bin liner called Bin Kill. And when we were looking at this at the tribunal, people were saying, oh, we use bin liners to put over ourselves when it's raining. We pack our clothes in there. And there's this bin liner on the market that's lined with organophosphates. So a lot more attention needs to be paid to the amount of chemicals that we are exposed to daily, and a lot better regulation.
Oh, wow. That is shocking. And I suppose a cause for alarm if ever you're packing your clothing in bin liners, perhaps just look out for that. I can't imagine the impact that long-term this chemical has had on farm workers.
Yeah, on farm workers, and they're exposed very often without protective gear, without training. They're often seasonal workers. They don't have health insurance. But this food is also, I mean, it's also saturating our food. It's in the water, in the soil. I don't understand why we have such a casual relationship with the multiple toxins in our environment.
Yeah, and it certainly does feel like the focus has been all wrong. I mean, we had weeks and weeks and in some cases months, and then delays, and then new deadlines for spaza shops to re-register, when really the focus of our attention should have been the toxins that are quite literally killing people in particular communities.
Absolutely. And it's going to continue. I mean, as the minister said in his clip, there are millions of spaza shops in a huge country. It's just not a viable response to a very serious problem. And children are particularly at risk. They like to put things in their mouths. They're curious. They see a bottle of something that looks like milk, or so they're the ones that are really particularly at risk when it comes to street pesticides.
Yeah,
and also they're not just acute poisonings that they die from, but the children who survive will have long-term neurological impacts, and their families will need to take care of them for their lives. And who's also going to support the families with that burden?
Yeah, and you're not the first person working in this industry to signal a warning insofar as Turfos is concerned. And I wonder, just given Velenkosini Hlabisa's comments that this will go to cabinet level, whether there will be that political will to ban these toxins, these organophosphates altogether. Haidee Swanby, let me thank you for your time this afternoon. She's the coordinator of the South African People's Tribunal on agrotoxins.